Absolutely no surprise at all, particularly since Navalny's death. Yulia Navalnaya, certainly looks like she wants to assume the mantle of her husband as a leader of Russian opposition, and Russian authorities are responding in kind. So we are really going through the motions here. She's not in Russia, she is abroad. Immediately after her husband's death, she met with President Biden on one-on-one audience. In the sense that she was given this high profile and in a sense of approval from the American president for her to carry on with the opposition work, and then Russian authorities are responding in kind.
Yeah. You point out that she is no longer in Russia, but she has vowed to continue her opposition to the government there. There would have to be concerns for her safety, because we know that Russia is happy to go outside to hit their targets.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm sure she is. As I said, she is. Looks like she's taken care of by the Western authorities. I think she lives in Germany, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think there is a security is tight around her, and. Related question, I think the probably more important question is, what kind of role she can play, and what, she wants to be the leader of the opposition, but, she's leader of opposition in exile. Opposition is very diverse. She's not necessarily, everybody accepts her as as being a opposition leader. You have other high-profile people like Khodorkovsky, who was also in prison for 10 years, the oligarch, and so forth. So she is trying to consolidate her profile, but what's her actual influence in Russian politics? I'm very skeptical about whether she has any beyond the exile circles.
Yeah, any real influence. Let's come to Modi's visit to Russia. What did you make of it?
Well, it certainly was a special visit. It's not a 1 day, but 2 days visit. It has to be said that they have this tradition of meeting every year. So every year, either Putin goes to India or Modi comes to Russia. That's a very long-standing tradition, emphasizing the strategic partnership, which goes back to the Soviet times, to Khrushchev's era. And Russia always valued India as being leader of the so-called non-aligned world in the Cold War, so they're not joining either the Western world nor the Soviet bloc, conducting independent policy. Now, for Russia, this becomes very, very important as well. India has become a major destination, second after China, for Russian oil, for example, after Europe banned oil export from Russia. So as a counterweight both to the West and a source of revenues for its oil, but also as a counterbalance to China as well, because Russia doesn't really want to become totally dependent just on one country. India is extremely important, and for India, likewise, it has very fraught relations with China. It values its own independence or non-alignment. So Russia is a useful country to deal with. So oil and arms are two things they trade in very well together.
Yeah, and it's quite domestically good, plays well for Modi domestically back home. There have been some concerns for some of India's Western allies. India, of course, really being depended on in many ways as a counterweight to China.
Yes, I think, India is in a very good position in the sense everybody's courting it, right? So the West is courting it, Russia is courting it, China is wary over it as well. Because obviously they are the equal size in terms of population. India has a lot of economic potential and so forth. So India is in a very envious position, because basically it can have the best of two worlds. Just to give you an example, after all the oil and petroleum products been banned from sales to Russia, India had been buying Russian oil at a discount, refining it and selling back to Europe products from Russian oil at a premium. So it's making a huge amount of money. It's in a very great place. Russia is losing out because it's selling cheap. Europe is losing out because it's buying expensive stuff. But India is brilliant.
Yeah, indeed. So, and that's really, when you look at Putin and how he has managed to skirt around the large number of sanctions that were placed on it after its invasion of, attacks on Ukraine.
Yes, well, I have to be said that also there is a very precarious kind of balance to be maintained, because if you ban Russian oil, Russia is the second largest oil exporter in the world. If you ban them altogether, the prices will go up a lot, and Russia will still be it. There's nothing can be done with it to stop it trading with China. It has a border, it has pipelines going into China, etc. India. As well. So actually, this sanctions has been arranged so it could still trade, but at a lower price. That hasn't worked because they are selling above the cap, which was imposed by the West. They finding alternative oil tankers. They're finding alternative insurance because the Western countries weaponized insurance. London was the biggest marine insurance center. Now they're having Russians using their own, or Indian, and so forth. So yeah, so far it's hasn't worked. And also, I mean, there are costs, of course, but Russian economy hasn't collapsed, unlikely to be collapsed, and going forward, it will keep adapting to the sanctions.
Yeah, Alexander, always good to get your analysis and thoughts. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.